The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with fear. 500 representatives from the most powerful spacefaring races sat in their floating pods, all eyes fixed on the massive hologram at the center. It showed a growing purple storm that twisted and turned through space, swallowing everything in its path. Ambassador Stone, the human representative, watched quietly from Earth's simple metal pod. Unlike the fancy pods of other races, decorated with war trophies and ancient symbols, the human pod was plain and practical, just like its occupants. "This quantum anomaly has already destroyed 3 solar systems," announced High Commander Rex of the Alpha race. His crystalline body sparkled under the emergency lights. "It threatens the entire Orion arm of our galaxy." The room erupted in shouts and arguments. Stone noticed how the warrior races, particularly the Alphas and Luminars, puffed themselves up with pride. They always did this before suggesting another violent solution. "We sent our bravest warriors," shouted a Luminar elder, his energy form pulsing with bright colors. "Our most powerful warships charged straight into the anomaly. None returned." "The Alphas also lost their finest battle fleet," Rex added, his crystal face showing no emotion. "Our strongest weapons had no effect." Stone looked at the data scrolling across his pod's screen. The human scientists back on Earth had been studying this crisis for weeks. They had a different theory about the anomaly, but Stone knew suggesting it would bring more mockery. "Perhaps," a voice called out, making everyone turn, "we should ask our newest council members what they think." It was General Bright of the Luminars, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Surely the humans, with their famous caution, have some clever way to run away from this threat." Laughter echoed through the chamber. Stone took a deep breath. After 50 years in the Galactic Council, humans were still seen as the cowards of space. Their careful approach to exploration, their insistence on safety protocols, and their preference for sending drones ahead of manned missions had earned them this reputation. "Actually," Stone spoke up, his voice calm and clear, "we do have a suggestion." The laughter grew louder. "Let me guess," Rex said, his crystal body chiming with amusement. "You want to study it from a safe distance, take readings while worlds burn." Stone activated his pod's projector. A new image appeared beside the anomaly. A detailed scan showing energy patterns and quantum fluctuations. "We've already been studying it," he said, "and we found something interesting." The laughter died down slightly. A few council members leaned forward. "Our scientists believe this isn't a natural phenomenon," Stone continued. "The energy patterns are too regular, too structured. We think it's artificial. A defense mechanism left behind by an ancient civilization." "Ridiculous." General Bright flared brightly with anger. "It's clearly a warrior's challenge. It must be met with strength and courage, not your human cowardice." Stone zoomed in on part of the scan. "See these patterns? They repeat every 3.7 minutes. Natural quantum storms don't do that. We've also detected fragments of code in the energy signature." High Commander Rex raised a crystalline hand, silencing the council. "And what do you propose, human? More studies while populations die? More careful observation from your safe distance?" "No," Stone replied, pressing a button on his console. "I propose we send in the Prudence." A new hologram appeared. An Earth ship, smaller than the massive warships the other races had lost. Its design was simple, practical, like everything humans made. "Captain Walker and his crew have volunteered," Stone explained. "They've studied our data and believe they can approach the anomaly safely." The chamber erupted again, this time in disbelief and mockery. "You would send that tiny ship?" Rex asked. "After our mighty fleets failed?" "Yes," Stone said firmly. "Because we're not going to fight the anomaly. We're going to try to understand it." As the council chamber dissolved into arguments, Stone sent the launch codes to the Prudence. He knew Captain Walker would approach this crisis the human way, with caution, with planning, and with the quiet courage that other races mistook for cowardice. The human way might not look brave to the galaxy, but it had kept their species alive through countless challenges. And maybe, just maybe, it would save them all this time. Captain James Walker stood on the bridge of the Prudence, watching his crew prepare for their mission. The ship's engines hummed quietly, a sound that always calmed his nerves. Through the main viewport, he could see the quantum anomaly, its purple swirls casting an eerie light across the bridge. All systems check complete, Captain. Engineer Tom Reed reported from his station. Shields are at maximum strength, and our sensor arrays are ready. Walker nodded, noting how different his bridge looked compared to the warships of other races. Instead of weapon controls and battle stations, the Prudence was filled with scanning equipment and research stations. The warrior races had laughed when they saw the ship's design plans. Now those same races watched from a safe distance, waiting to see the humans fail. "Launch the first probe, Mary," Walker ordered. Science Officer Cooper tapped her console, and a small drone shot out from the Prudence's bow. The bridge crew held their breath as the probe approached the anomaly's edge. "Receiving data," Mary announced, her eyes fixed on the streaming numbers. "The probe's shields are holding. Temperature normal. Quantum readings are interesting." A harsh laugh came through the ship's communications. It was General Bright of the Luminars. "Still hiding behind your machines, humans. Too afraid to face the challenge directly." Walker ignored the taunt. "What do you see, Mary?" "The energy patterns we detected from Earth were right," she replied. "They're not random at all. Look at this sequence." She brought up a display showing waves of energy pulsing through the anomaly. Even to Walker's untrained eye, the pattern was clear, like a heartbeat or a signal. "Send in the second probe," Walker commanded. "Tom, adjust its shields to match the frequency we're seeing." Another drone launched. This one penetrated deeper into the purple storm before sending back its data. Tom's eyes widened as he read the incoming information. "Captain," he called out excitedly, "I'm detecting fragments of code embedded in the quantum fluctuations. It's like an old computer program, but written in space itself." The other races had been monitoring their progress. High Commander Rex's voice crackled through the speakers, his crystalline tone sharp with disapproval. "Your probes tell you nothing we don't already know, human. The anomaly destroys everything that enters. It requires warriors to face it, not cowards who hide and watch." Walker turned to his crew. "What do you think?" he asked quietly. "Are we being cowards?" Mary looked up from her readings. "No, sir. We're being smart. Look at these patterns. They're similar to old Earth shipping routes. This isn't a weapon or a challenge. It's a navigation system gone wrong. If we can understand its programming," Tom added, "we might be able to communicate with it, maybe even redirect it." Walker smiled. This was why he loved working with humans. Where other races saw only battles to be won, his people saw puzzles to be solved. Their cowardice was really just wisdom earned through thousands of years of scientific progress. "Launch the full probe network," he ordered. "Let's map every part of this thing before we go any deeper." Over the next few hours, the Prudence carefully deployed dozens of drones in a complex pattern around the anomaly. Each probe added to their understanding, building a complete picture of the strange phenomenon. The warrior races watched in silence, perhaps beginning to realize that there was more than one way to show courage. "Final probe in position," Mary reported. "We have a complete scan of the anomaly structure." Walker studied the three-dimensional map they'd created. Where others had seen chaos, his crew had found order. Where others had charged in blindly, they had taken the time to understand. "Begin analysis of the code fragments," he commanded, "and plot a safe approach vector for the Prudence. If this is really an ancient navigation system, then we need to show it where to go." As his crew worked, Walker thought about all the times humans had been called cowards in space, but being careful wasn't the same as being afraid. Sometimes, the bravest thing you could do was take your time and think before you acted. The purple storm loomed ahead, no longer looking quite so threatening. They had a plan now, and plans were what humans did best. Tom Reed hadn't slept in 20 hours, but he couldn't stop staring at his screen. The code fragments hidden in the quantum anomaly were starting to make sense, and what they revealed was amazing. His fingers flew across the keyboard as he pieced together the puzzle. "Captain," he called out, his voice echoing across the bridge. "You need to see this." Walker moved from his command chair to Tom's station, where complex patterns danced across multiple screens. The rest of the bridge crew gathered around, curious about the discovery. "Look at this," Tom pointed to a repeating sequence. "We thought these were random energy bursts, but they're not. They're road signs." Mary leaned in closer. "Road signs?" "Yes." Tom's excitement made him speak faster. "The ancient civilization that built this, they didn't travel through space like we do. They used quantum tunnels, like highways between stars. This anomaly, it's a traffic control system." Walker's eyes widened. "A traffic control system that's gone haywire." "Exactly." Tom brought up more data streams. "See these patterns? They match perfectly with old Earth shipping routes from the 21st century. The same way we used to guide ships through crowded harbors, they used this system to direct quantum traffic through space." A harsh voice cut through their discussion. "More human nonsense." General Bright's energy form flickered on their communication screen. "While you play with numbers, the anomaly grows stronger. 3 more solar systems are in danger." "The General's right about one thing," Mary said, checking her instruments. "The anomaly is expanding, but now we know why." She pointed to a new set of readings. "It's trying to redirect quantum traffic that doesn't exist anymore, like a computer running the same program over and over with no input." Walker studied the data carefully. This was why humans always insisted on understanding before acting. The warrior races had seen the anomaly as an enemy to be fought. His crew had seen it as a mystery to be solved. "Tom," he asked, "can you show me where these quantum highways used to go?" The engineer pulled up a star map. Glowing lines appeared, showing ancient travel routes that crisscrossed the galaxy. The purple anomaly sat at what must have been a major intersection, still trying to direct traffic that had stopped flowing millions of years ago. The warrior race's attacks made it worse, Mary realized. The system detected their ships as unauthorized vehicles ignoring traffic signals. It's been increasing power, trying to force them to follow the proper routes. The bridge fell silent as everyone understood the irony. The braver the other races had acted, the more they had fed the problem. Their courage had only made the crisis worse. "Captain," a young officer called from her station, "the Alphas are preparing another attack run. They say they won't let humans shame their warrior pride any longer." Walker pressed the communication button. "High Commander Rex, please wait. We've discovered what the anomaly is. If you attack it again, you'll only make it stronger." "More human cowardice." Rex's crystalline voice rang with contempt. "You waste time with theories while we take action." Tom spoke up suddenly. "Captain, I think I can prove it to them." His fingers danced across his console. "I'm sending a signal to one of our probes. If I'm right about the traffic patterns." Everyone watched as the probe adjusted its energy output to match the ancient quantum frequencies. The section of the anomaly near it suddenly calmed, its purple swirls becoming orderly and controlled. "It worked," Tom shouted. The system recognized the probe as a proper vehicle following traffic rules. Walker smiled. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem was to step back and think about it differently. The warrior races saw everything as a battle. Humans had learned long ago that understanding your enemy often worked better than fighting it. "Send the data to all council ships," he ordered, "and begin calculating how we can use this knowledge to calm the entire anomaly. It's time to show the galaxy that humans aren't cowards. We're problem solvers." The purple storm raged around them. But for the first time since the crisis began, they had real hope. Not because they were the bravest, but because they had been smart enough to be careful. The Prudence's meeting room was packed. Captain Walker stood at the front, showing holographic displays of their discovery to the ship's senior crew. The purple glow of the anomaly filtered through the windows, reminding them that time was running out. The ancient traffic control system is trying to direct ships that no longer exist, Walker explained, pointing to the complex patterns on the screen. Like a computer stuck in an endless loop, it's using more and more power to do its job. And that's what's threatening nearby solar systems, Mary added. She brought up a new display showing the growing energy levels. If we don't stop it soon, the quantum forces it's generating will tear apart everything within 50 light years. Tom stepped forward, holding a small device. That's why we developed this. The quantum resonator. It can speak the same language as the traffic system. Through the ship's communications, they heard laughter from the watching alien ships. More human toys. General Bright's voice dripped with scorn. While you play with your devices, real warriors prepare for battle. Walker ignored the mockery. Show them the plan, Tom. The engineer placed the resonator on the table. It hummed softly as it activated. We'll build a network of these devices around the anomaly, he explained. Each one will act like a virtual ship, following the ancient traffic patterns. When we activate them all at once, the system will think traffic is flowing normally again, Mary finished. It should calm down and return to its basic programming. High Commander Rex's crystalline face appeared on the main screen. You want to trick the anomaly instead of fighting it. This is what passes for courage among humans. We call it solving the problem, Walker replied calmly. Fighting isn't always the answer. The room erupted in debate. The warrior races argued for a final, massive attack. The Luminars wanted to use their energy weapons to overload the system. But Walker's crew stayed focused on their plan. How many resonators do we need? Walker asked, turning away from the arguing aliens. At least 30, Tom answered. And they'll have to be placed in exact positions around the anomaly. One wrong placement, and the whole network fails. Mary studied the energy readings. We'll need to get much closer than any ship has survived before. The quantum forces will be intense. Walker nodded. This was the part that worried him most. His crew would have to pilot the Prudence into the heart of the storm, precisely placing each device while avoiding the deadly energy waves. So we run away again. General Bright's voice boomed. Hide behind our machines. No, Walker said firmly. We'll be going in deeper than anyone has gone before, but we'll do it carefully, intelligently. There's no point in dying just to prove we're brave. The alien commanders continued to argue, but Walker's crew was already moving. They began preparing the resonators, checking each device carefully. On the bridge, officers plotted the exact course they would need to take. Captain, Mary called out, her voice serious. New readings from the anomaly. Its power is growing faster than we predicted. We have less than 10 hours before it reaches critical levels. Walker looked at his crew. They all knew what this meant. There would be no time for second chances, no room for errors. They would have to execute their plan perfectly the first time, or whole worlds would die. Prepare for deployment, he ordered, and send the resonator plans to all council ships. If we fail, maybe someone else can finish what we started. As his crew rushed to their stations, Walker heard the warrior races still arguing about honor and courage. They didn't understand that sometimes the bravest thing wasn't charging into battle. Sometimes it was being willing to try something different, something careful and smart, even when everyone else mocked you for it. The Prudence's engines powered up. Ahead of them, the purple storm of the anomaly grew stronger. It was time to show the galaxy what human courage really looked like. The Prudence glided forward into the purple storm. On the bridge, every crew member sat totally focused on their tasks. They had trained for weeks to place the resonators, but this was different from any simulation. First checkpoint reached, Tom announced from his station. Shields holding at 80%. Walker watched as the first resonator launched from the ship. The small device spun slowly, positioning itself exactly where their calculations said it should go. As it activated, a small area of the quantum storm calmed around it. It's working, Mary called out. The traffic system is responding to the resonator's signals. Through the viewport, Walker could see the watching alien ships. They hung back at a safe distance, their mighty weapons useless against this threat. Now they could only observe as the humans they had mocked carry out their careful plan. Second resonator launching, Tom reported, adjusting shield frequencies to match the quantum waves. The ship shuddered as they pushed deeper into the storm. Warning lights flashed across every console, but the crew stayed calm. This was why humans always insisted on safety procedures and backup plans. Energy levels rising, Mary warned. The system is trying to redirect us like it did the other ships. Walker gripped his chair as the Prudence rocked violently. Tom, activate the traffic signal mimickers. Let's show it we're following the rules. The engineer's fingers danced across his console. The ship's energy signature changed, matching the patterns they had discovered in the ancient code. The violent shaking eased slightly. It's working, Tom said with relief. The system thinks we're proper traffic now, but we need to hurry. These frequencies are hard to maintain. They continued pressing forward, placing resonator after resonator in precise positions. Each device had to be exactly right, or the whole network would fail. It was slow, careful work, the kind that warrior races dismissed as cowardice. Halfway there, Mary announced, 15 resonators placed, 15 to go. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. A massive energy wave was building up ahead of them. The system's running a major traffic cycle, Mary shouted. Energy surge in 10 seconds. Walker had a split-second decision to make. The warrior races would charge straight through the wave, trusting in their strength, but he had a crew to protect. All stop, he ordered. Full power to shields. Brace for impact. The Prudence shuddered as the energy wave washed over them. Warning lights flashed everywhere, but the careful planning paid off. Their shields held. Damage report, Walker called out as the wave passed. Shields down to 30%, Tom replied. But all systems still functioning. The resonators are still in place. Captain, a voice crackled through their comm system. It was High Commander Rex. Your ship cannot survive another wave like that. Retreat now, and let real warriors finish this task. Walker looked at his crew. They were tired, stressed, but still focused. This was what humans did best, facing challenges with brains instead of brute force. Negative, Commander, he replied. We're continuing the mission. Mary, how long until the next energy wave? 12 minutes, based on the traffic patterns we've decoded. Walker nodded. Then we have 12 minutes to place as many resonators as we can. Tom, plot the fastest safe course through the storm. Everyone else, triple check every calculation. We do this right, no matter how little time we have. The Prudence moved forward again, deeper into the purple chaos. The crew worked with quiet efficiency, each person following their carefully planned procedures. They had no mighty weapons, no ancient technology, just their wits and their preparation. Resonator 16 in position, Tom reported. 17 launching now. Walker watched his crew work, feeling proud. The warrior races would never understand that this careful, intelligent approach to danger was its own kind of courage. Humans had learned long ago that rushing in wasn't always brave. Sometimes, the real heroes were the ones who took the time to do things right. Shield failure in 3 minutes. Tom's voice cut through the chaos on the bridge. The Prudence's engines screamed as another quantum wave hammered the ship. Warning lights flashed everywhere, and the purple storm outside seemed angrier than ever. How many resonators left? Walker asked, holding tight to his chair as the ship rocked. 4, Mary responded, her eyes fixed on her screens. But the quantum storms are getting worse. The system thinks we're causing a traffic jam. They had placed 26 resonators in a careful pattern around the anomaly. Each one helped calm a small area of space, but now the ancient traffic control system was fighting back harder than ever. Captain, an officer called out. Message from High Commander Rex. The crystalline alien's face appeared on their main screen. For once, he wasn't mocking them. Human vessel, you must retreat. Our sensors show the anomaly's power is reaching critical levels. No ship can survive what's coming. Walker looked at his crew. They were tired, scared, but still focused. They had come too far to give up now. Tom, status of the resonator network. The engineer worked his controls quickly. The network is stable, but incomplete. Without the last 4 resonators, it won't be strong enough to redirect the anomaly. Another energy wave hit the ship. This time, panels exploded across the bridge, sending sparks flying. The emergency systems kicked in, spraying fire suppression foam. Shields at 15%. Tom shouted. 2 minutes until total failure. Mary suddenly straightened in her chair. Captain, I found something in the traffic systems code. There's a central control point, a hub where all the quantum routes connect. If we could place a resonator there, it might act like a master control signal. Tom finished, catching on to her idea. We could redirect the whole system at once. Where's this hub? Walker asked. Mary's face went pale as she checked the coordinates. It's in the very center of the anomaly, the point of highest energy. Nothing has ever gone that deep and survived. The bridge fell silent. Even the alien commanders watching through their communication screens said nothing. Everyone knew what this meant. The only way to save billions of lives was to do something that seemed impossible. Walker stood up slowly. This was the moment that would prove what human courage really meant. Not reckless bravery, but the willingness to take carefully calculated risks when necessary. Plot a course to the hub, he ordered. Tom, divert all power to forward shields. Mary, start programming the final resonator with everything we've learned about the traffic patterns. Captain, General Bright's voice crackled through their speakers. This is madness. Even my luminar ships cannot survive the energy at the anomaly's core. That's because you tried to fight it, Walker replied calmly. We're going to talk to it instead. He turned to his crew. This is volunteer only. Anyone who wants to evacuate has my permission. Not a single crew member moved from their station. Shields at 12%, Tom reported. Course to the hub plotted. Final resonator programmed, Mary added. It's our best guess at a master override signal. Walker sat back in his command chair, looking at the swirling purple chaos ahead of them. The warrior races had called humans cowards because they preferred to study problems before acting. But sometimes, after you understood the problem completely, you had to take bold action. All hands, brace for acceleration, he ordered. Tom, take us in. Mary, be ready with that resonator. Let's show the galaxy what human courage really looks like. The Prudence's engines roared to full power. Around them, the quantum storm raged with impossible force. They had one chance to reach the hub, place the resonator, and save billions of lives. As they plunged toward the heart of the anomaly, Walker thought about all the times humans had been mocked for being careful. But being careful wasn't the same as being afraid. Sometimes it just meant you understood exactly how dangerous something was, and did it anyway. The Prudence shook violently as it pushed through the quantum storm's core. Warning sirens blared as systems failed one by one. But in the center of the bridge, Captain Walker remained calm, watching their approach to the hub. Shields critical, Tom shouted over the noise. 5%. 4. 3. Distance to hub, Walker asked, his voice steady despite the chaos. 200 meters, Mary replied. Her fingers flew across her console, keeping the final resonator ready. But the energy readings are off the scale. Nothing in our database comes close to this level of quantum distortion. Through the viewport, the purple storm had become a blinding white light. The ship's metal groaned under the immense forces trying to tear it apart. This was the point where the mighty warships of other races had been destroyed. Shields at 2%. Tom's voice was barely audible over the sound of failing systems. Walker pressed a button on his chair. All hands, this is the captain. Emergency power to forward shields. Brace for final approach. The Prudence pushed forward, meter by meter. Behind them, The alien commanders watched in stunned silence. The humans they had mocked as cowards were now deeper in the anomaly than anyone had ever gone. 100 meters to hub, Mary called out. Energy levels still rising. Suddenly, the ship lurched sideways. A massive quantum wave had hit them from an unexpected angle. Panels exploded across the bridge, and emergency force fields snapped into place as the hull began to crack. "Shields failing," Tom screamed. "We're losing containment." This was the moment that would prove everything. The warrior races would have tried to power through, to fight the quantum forces head-on, but humans had learned better ways. "Emergency maneuver pattern Delta," Walker ordered calmly, "just like we practiced." The crew responded instantly. Instead of fighting the quantum wave, the Prudence rolled with it, using its momentum to spiral closer to the hub. It was a technique they had developed after studying the anomaly's patterns, turning its power against itself. 50 meters. Mary's voice was filled with hope. "The hub's energy signature is matching our predictions." Another wave hit them, but this time they were ready. The ship curved around it, losing some ground but staying intact. Every simulation, every careful observation was paying off. "Shields gone," Tom reported. "Hull integrity at 30%. 20 meters," Mary shouted, launching final resonator. Everyone watched as the small device shot from the ship's bow. It spun through the blinding light, carrying their last hope. All their study, all their preparation, came down to this moment. The resonator reached the hub. For a second, nothing happened. Then the white light pulsed, and a wave of energy, unlike anything they'd seen before, exploded outward. The Prudence was thrown backward like a leaf in a hurricane. "Hull breach on deck 3, Tom yelled. "We're losing power." "The resonator," Walker demanded. Mary checked her readings, her eyes widening. It's working. The hub is accepting the override signal. The whole network is responding." Around them, the blinding white light began to fade. The purple storm that had threatened billions of lives started to calm. The ancient traffic control system, finally receiving signals it understood, was powering down. "Get us out of here," Walker ordered. "Best possible speed." The Prudence limped away from the hub as the anomaly continued to shrink. By the time they reached safe distance, it had collapsed to a small, stable point of light, exactly as their calculations had predicted. The bridge was silent except for the sound of damaged systems sputtering. Then a voice came through their speakers. It was High Commander Rex. "Human vessel," the crystalline alien said, his tone different than before. "The Council wishes to commend your courage." Walker looked at his exhausted crew, engineers, scientists, and thinkers who had solved what warriors couldn't. "Thank you, Commander," he replied. "But we weren't being courageous. We were just being human. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is take the time to understand your enemy before you face it." As the Prudence headed home, the warrior races watched in thoughtful silence. They had learned an important lesson today. True courage wasn't about rushing into danger. Sometimes it meant having the wisdom to be careful, to study and plan, and to solve problems with your mind instead of your weapons. The cowardly humans had saved them all, not through fearless charges or mighty battles, but through the quiet courage of doing things the right way.